Okay, so I should have plenty of room in my hard drive for this, but so again, welcome and thank you for attending. This has been an exciting event. This is a program. Well, it's first I introduce myself as the moderator. I'm active with the Sierra Club and other groups, and including specifically the DuPage Clean Energy Coalition, which is those two groups are sponsoring this event. And we're excited to have Anson Moran here tonight. And I'm also Forest Preserve District Commissioner in DuPage County. And I'm proud to say we're trying to expand solar dramatically in our operations. So anything that we can do to make it better for other entities to expand solar, particularly with some new legislation that just passed, I think anything we can do is good. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, this program will be that Anson is going to present is developed by NREL, National Research Energy Laboratory. If I got that right. They basically invented a better mousetrap for permitting solar installations. I think that's just looking at this, I think it's critical and amazing how much leverage we can get to expand solar in DuPage County. I also want to mention that Vera Miller is on. You can see her face. She's actively involved with the DuPage Clean Energy Coalition. This coalition really is just a group of individuals like us who are trying to advocate for clean energy. And so we've had a lot of fun the last few years. Connie is on as well with the Sierra Club. She's the local chair of that group and active with this group. So I think with that, I'll just introduce Anson. I have a brief bio that he supplied. And there's an acronym here. He's a NAB-CEP associate, which is, it's a certification program, which means he knows what he's talking about when it comes to solar energy. He's a 15-year veteran of the solar energy industry. He began as the founder of a California-based electrical subcontractor business for utility scale solar systems in North America, Central South America, and the Caribbean. He came to Chicago as the CEO of Medio Control, a German-based PV performance monitoring company. More recently, he worked for Tesla in the permit and inspection team, and now is the Illinois SolarAPP outreach coordinator under the Illinois Solar Energy Association. In parallel, he develops commercial and industrial solar projects with Renewable Energy Revolutions. So with that, Anson, I'll turn it over to you. And after you speak and present some slides, we can have a Q&A session toward the end so we can talk shop. And this won't be highly detailed or technical, I hope. Because there's another version of this presentation that Anson does, which he'll explain when he's talking to municipalities. So anyway, it's yours, Anson.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you very much, Jeff. I'm really happy to be here and presenting. And my hope is that after this presentation, that everyone will understand SolarAPP enough to speak with folks that work for municipalities, whether they're in the business development or even in the permitting department, and talk about SolarAPP to them, and maybe introduce the topic of automated residential solar energy permitting, and talk about some of the benefits and help move this program forward in our communities. You know, it only takes one day to install a typical solar energy system, but it takes weeks, months, or a year to submit and receive building permit in Illinois. Building permit processes are really designed for big projects, like adding additions to a house, not small one-day installs of residential solar energy systems. Mm-hmm. And we're never really going to make a meaningful impact in climate change and add resilience to our communities with these really long timelines. We believe installing solar energy system on your home should be like installing a new appliance, not like adding a room to your home. And so let me take a step back. SolarAPP Plus, it stands for Solar Automated Permitting Processing. and the plus stands for the future expansions to the platform that are planned. In the future, we plan to add permitting options for battery storage, incredibly important for resilience, EV charging stations, as well as small commercial systems. We hope to add to this automated permitting processing platform. In Hawaii, we've already been beta testing these battery storage for with SolarAPP, and it might even be live by now. I'm not sure. We're doing a lot of beta testing in Honolulu. But right now in Illinois and most of the country, every building permit jurisdiction has their own permit application and inspection process and procedures with many different electrical and building code standards. All these variables cost contractors time and money that equal to about 30% of the total project cost. So in the last 12 years, manufacturing, logistics, and material efficiencies have reduced the cost of solar by 89%. But these efficiencies have mostly been squeezed now, and manufacturers are now warning that, in fact, they're already have increased, the costs of already are increasing on inverters and solar panels due to increased cost in commodities, increased cost of logistics and supply chain, shipping. And now we're at a point where meaningful price reductions could only really be achieved through the cost reduction in these bureaucratic expenses. This bureaucratic expense is exactly what SolarAPP addresses. And in the end, it's really a win-win for the municipalities, and it's a win for the consumers. It's a win for equitable access to solar by reducing the cost. A wider range of people family income levels can afford access to clean energy. So with that, I'm going to open my slide deck here. Give me just one moment. All right, can someone give me a thumbs up if they see my?
Looking good.
Great, thank you. So the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, worked with an all-star team of experts to build an online permitting platform that will automate rooftop solar plan reviews and produce compliant approvals instantly. NREL worked with solar energy groups, code bodies like the ICC, the building safety community, environmental organizations, and of course, local governments to develop SolarAPP. SolarAPP's free for jurisdictions to adopt, which is part of why we also view SolarAPP as an economic recovery driver. Data shows that growth compounds once permitting is online, and even more when it moves towards instant approval. When San Jose beta tested automated solar permitting, they found that the amount of applications grew by 6 times. So this type of growth clearly equates to more business, leading to more local resources, and frankly, more revenue for less effort. SolarAPP's meant to make online automated permit processing more accessible, especially during a time when no-touch processing is so important like we're experiencing now with COVID. We want to highlight that local government and rooftop solar are really allies, especially in our desire for safety, environmental outcomes, and quality of both installs and inspection records. Quality is also something that's important to the community, and SolarAPP aims to improve install quality and inspection records. Local resilience is another goal that SolarAPP shares with communities. As a lot of us have seen on the news, many parts of our country have experienced another record fire season. SolarAPP could help accelerate the installation of solar, and very soon solar plus storage, like I mentioned, and bring these technologies to more people. overall allowing for a safe, reliable, clean electric grid, especially in the face of increased public safety power shutoff events like we've all witnessed in the West Coast. As far as economic development, during difficult economic periods, solar has remained popular, meaning that we could bring in revenue when other industries can't. Rooftop solar has been growing for 10 years straight, and that's not expected to change. Rooftop solar so step back, how a local government responds to that volume has a large impact on the growth they could see. We have an opportunity to support our customers' desire to go solar and support the economic growth of our communities. SolarAPP reviews rooftop solar installs at a faster pace. AHJ permitting teams won't face additional burden from the growth. The system will also help adapt to new technologies and code years by keeping up to date, and municipalities continue to collect the same fees to support the growing volume of non-standardized systems. You know, we all want solar to succeed, but right now, US homeowners pay more and wait longer for solar than in other countries. From the homeowner's perspective, permitting begins shortly after the sale, site review, and design phase, which is where they get the most attention. Industry invests thousands on each customer getting them to this stage, which is mostly on expensive engineering, most engineering work. But once the customer's design is complete and the permit and interconnection applications are submitted, they're left to wait. They may get distracted and move on to something else. They may even, once the install has been approved, the homeowner needs to find some time in their calendar to take the next step. It's all very uncertain for them. And unfortunately, up to 10% of the potential solar adopters drop out of the process for every week of delay to install. Given conversations we've had with dozens of jurisdictions, these common residential rooftop solar projects with one type of solar panel and one type of inverter or cookie cutter systems are easy to approve and often take no more than an hour to review. But because of the sheer volume of applications, they often sit in a queue before they get reviewed. The SolarAPP platform could cover 80 to 90% of the permits submitted for solar and approve them without delay. That means that a contractor could enter all the details, get a permit, and in theory, install the system in the very same day. But you know, SolarAPP is strict about what can be considered standardized. If a project doesn't meet the SolarAPP eligibility, it'll get kicked out and it must go through the traditional review process. SolarAPP, through SolarAPP, AHJ will get the same permitting fees and will likely see total collections go up faster as faster approvals keep more homeowners on track.
Got it now.
So right now, these are the systems that are currently compatible with SolarAPP. Currently, SolarAPP is focused on residential PV and is compatible with the 2017 National Electric Code and 2018 International Building Code, International Residential Code. Soon it will be able to approve applications. Soon it will be compatible with 2020 National Electric Code. Also coming soon, like I mentioned, we'll be able to approve residential storage, which we're all really excited about. It's really critical for resilience. And then further in the future, SolarAPP will be able to approve applications for electric vehicle chargers and more. Now, I want to show you some of these economic benefits I've been mentioning. What's being displayed here is a 3 times growth scenario using data from a sample 2019 application volume. As I said earlier, San Jose experienced 6 times growth, factor of 6 after transitioning to instant online permitting. So for some jurisdictions, this could actually be a conservative estimate. When I've been talking to municipalities, I've been conservative, saying 3 times growth, which I think is still super compelling. But this really demonstrates the win-win, in my opinion. Now we're getting a little bit more technical into the workflow for municipalities to adopt this, but I think it's good to understand the flexibility of the program. This slide gives a high level overview of what the contractor would walk through in SolarAPP. The installer spends about 15 minutes moving fire, structural, electrical, and workers' comp questions. There's about 50 total. Right now, when an application comes to the AHJ, the applications are being reviewed using visual checks of a plan set but this platform takes those visual checks and turns them into yes, no questions for the contractor. Or so the system automates these checks that would they would otherwise do themselves. If the one behind. So if the contractor gets any of the questions incorrect, the system will give them a live feedback guiding them towards the compliant answer. Because it's automated, it could very quickly catch those code issues, typo errors, and because it's responsive, it's able to return corrections and provide guidance for getting that answer correct. That would otherwise require a back and forth, emails and phone calls between the permitting office. Because SolarAPP could help limit the amount of questions a jurisdiction gets on basic applications, especially from new installers. If the contractor is unable to finalize a compliant application, they need to leave the system and utilize the traditional review process. If the contractor is able to complete the compliant application, they pay the SolarAPP administrative fee and the municipal permitting fee. Once the payment's complete, the permit is instantly issued with the inspection checklist to the AHJ inspector and to verify in the field. So the $25 administrative fee, 100% of that fee goes back to NREL to add those other features, like I mentioned, the EV charging station, battery storage, add different code years to the system to expand it. So SolarAPP's adaptable. We currently offer two options to best meet the needs of different jurisdictions. The first of which is the standalone model. This is for jurisdictions who only accept applications by email, mail, or in person. Like DuPage County, for example, they only do permits in person. So you have to physically go to their office to submit permit applications. As you can see, it starts with the installer inputting their project and paying our $25 admin fee. At this point, they're now able to pay the city county fees directly in SolarAPP using the payment system Stripe. It's like an online payment system that the city does need to, or the city or county, the municipality needs to adopt. Then approval documents are sent to both the installer and the jurisdiction. They're also stored in SolarAPP for easy future access. And finally, the permit gets issued instantly, and all permit and inspection documents are sent to both the installer and the jurisdiction. So the integration model is for jurisdictions already using some type of online permitting portal, such as Intergov, or there's some other ones. This method also starts with the $25 admin fee. Then approval documents are sent to both the contractor and the AHJ. The installer now would be directed back to the system where they could pay their permitting fee, and then the system would issue the permit. So currently, the status of the program right now, I'm really happy to talk about some good news. It was really tough early. The challenge of these innovations is to overcome the what they've always done, to do something different. Municipalities and bureaucracies in general, by nature, they like to do things the same way, and change is really difficult for them. But I'm hopeful now, more now than ever, that SolarAPP will be adopted soon in Illinois. We'll get our first municipalities, and these are the tough ones. And then I'm confident we'll have the testimonials from those municipalities that will lead to a cascade of more AHJs adopting SolarAPP. And some of the reasons why I'm excited is, well, the first one is the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus released a wonderful document called the Climate Action Plan for the Chicago region. The plan's objectives, many of the plan's objectives mirror a lot of the issues that SolarAPP addresses. If anyone knows the mayor of Geneva, Ken Burns, he wrote a really wonderful foreword to the plan, and I'm going to share a link in the chat as I'm finishing up here. And it's a file I have in Google Docs, and there's a lot of documents in there. And one of them is the MMC Climate Action Plan. So another reason why I'm excited, and I feel like we have a strong tailwind in Illinois, is that in Illinois, we have the most SolSmart designated municipalities in the country. And SolSmart's a national designation program to encourage cities to adopt solar-friendly practices. However, the permitting points, so the program, it consists of municipalities making changes to become a friendly, solar-friendly community. And it's on a point system. And these municipalities achieved their designation before SolSmart was available. And the permitting part didn't really go far enough, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion. So we see cities like Chicago who have gold status, but it could take 6 months to a year to get a residential solar energy permit. That really only takes an hour to review the plan. So the good news is that the SolSmart program is being refunded, and now the SolarAPP, it has the largest point potential in the program. So there's a bunch of municipalities with bronze status, and there's about, I think, like 40 of them. And if they adopt SolarAPP, they could just adopting SolarAPP would bring them to gold status. And that our feeling is that has a lot of weight within the community, within these municipalities. The idea of an automated instant permit issuing platform comes from the need to address the patchwork of permitting procedures, costs, timelines, codes that vary greatly from different municipal HJs. All these variables end up, like I mentioned, adding around 30% to the cost of the project. Permitting in Illinois can take anywhere from 3 days to 1 year for a simple cookie cutter 4 kilowatt residential solar system. And then permission to operate from ComEd or Ameren could take weeks or months more. It's worth noting that the installation of most simple systems only take 1 day, and it's technically ready to operate in 1 day. So in the current system of red tape and resulting long delays, the opportunity to mitigate, adapt, and establish widespread resilience to climate change in a meaningful way is not possible. So back in the SolarAPP was officially launched in July, and the US Department of Energy held a wonderful kickoff event. It was a virtual kickoff event. And former governor of Michigan, now DOE Secretary Granholm, gave a really wonderful presentation at the event. There is a link to the recorded webinar, both on the SolarAPP website, and there's also there's the link to the SolarAPP website if you'd like to take a look at it. Very enthusiastic. Governor or Secretary Granholm is also, we're trying to get her out to Illinois in the fall, but it didn't happen. And there's hope for a DOE event, in maybe a virtual event this winter, but also possible a physical event in spring. all these things are so fluid with COVID and all the factors. She wanted to come out in winter, and we said, don't think. Have you ever been to Chicago in the winter? Maybe not a good idea. So, you can't count on O'Hare being accessible all times of winter.
Excuse
So-
me, but she's from Michigan, right? So she doesn't
Yeah.
have to worry about Chicago.
Yeah, good observation. Good point. Right. So, I urge you to take a look at the roundtable. I'm going to share in just a moment the link to those resources I mentioned. Urge you to take a look. There's 2 municipal facing documents. I might be able to just pull it up here real quickly to show you what's in the folder. All right, just swing it over here. So what we have here, this is the SolarAPP automated permitting platform or flyer. This one's really good to send directly to folks in the municipality. It's municipal facing. This one talks about SolSmart. This is a SolSmart document. It shows how adopting SolarAPP could provide a national designation for the municipality. Then there's a letter to mayors directly from the secretary's office, and you can see it signed by Jennifer Granholm. What else is interesting? There's here's the climate action plan. If you have some time, I really encourage you to at least read the acknowledgements right here. Or is this it? There's here it is. The message from Mayor Ken Burns. This is very exciting and made the hair stand up on the back of my neck because I think it mirrors a lot of our feelings about what needs to be done to address the not just climate but also the ecosystem. But I'll go ahead and share this with you folks, and I encourage you to take a look through here. There's I'm going to point out this other document, and then I'll turn it back to Jeff. But this is a great document if you want to just kind of pick up some elevator pitch bullet points here. It talks about if you look through this and just remember a couple of these bullet points, it gives you something to say to introduce the topic of SolarAPP to folks who might be receptive or potential allies and colleagues and friends, enemies maybe. So and rebuttals to objections are in here as well, or they can be used as rebuttals. So thank you very much for listening to my to me ramble. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something, and I hope I recruited you as an ally in this effort to spread solar energy and add resilience to our communities. Thanks, Jeff.
Hey, well, thank you, Anson. That's a very good summary of a lot of moving parts can be had in this solar permitting industry. And of course, people could ask questions through the chat. Vera could help monitor that. We could also, I think as time goes on, to see if just have some general open-ended discussion, just without using the chat. But thank you. And just to start things off, one question that's kind of burning in my mind is, number one is communities often have a lot of ancillary requirements. They have nothing to do with the actual solar installation. I've heard of communities, the worst case scenario is, oh, you're doing a modification. You got to bring your whole building up to code or your whole house up to code, or you got to put in a water sprinkling system, a fire suppression system or something. There's been some horror stories out there. I don't know if you're running into that in Illinois much. If there's, I think in a municipality will say, well, yeah, we could do this, but we don't want to drop all of our other requirements. They have to go through a review process as well. So just wondering, Anson, if that's an issue.
Yeah, and that's actually dovetails into another challenge, is that The solar app right now is built for the National Electric Code 2017. I think it's 2020 that requires updating the smoke detectors and some other things in it as well. And there's only 47 municipalities in Illinois that are on the correct, the actual NEC 2017 and 2018 IBC IRC. But in the end, I don't think these are total obstacles because these are for 2020, yeah, it's a challenge, but there's very few 2020 NEC municipalities or some. And we're working on updating the software for that. But the older years, they hardly talk about solar at all. There's very little mention about solar. I think 2009 is they start to talk about solar a little bit. So 2017 National Electric Code has more requirements. So if it's built to 2017, it is compliant with the previous years. So it's over compliant. It has things like rapid shutdown, and in the end, the 2017 has a lot of important updates because it provides safety features like rapid shutoff, which is important to the community. If we have firefighters up on the roof trying to vent the roof, this the articles in that code protect the firefighters from being electrocuted while they're chopping through the panels. So they shut down the power, then it shuts down the power at the panel level. So I really wanted, early on in my outreach, I was reaching out to the fire departments actually and trying to tell them why it's important for their team safety to adopt 2017 NEC. Sorry if it's a long answer.
Yeah, I've actually heard that communities have been adopting an international electric code, which may be codified in this national code. And it was happening statewide. Various building codes are becoming standardized in Illinois. So hopefully that's working for solar.
Yeah.
Well, James Babcock is asking, what's an AHJ? We just lost your audio.
Sorry
Oh,
about
yeah,
that.
we lost your audio.
Sorry
Go
about the
back.
jargon. Sorry about the jargon. It's authorities having jurisdiction, so it's any permit issuing municipality.
Oh, okay. And also a question, is there a separate permit required to connect to the ComEd grid? And I think there is a process with ComEd, interconnection agreement. The installer, I think, handles that. So it's not the permitting department. Is that correct, Anson?
Yeah, that's correct. It's normally the installer, and yeah, it could be ComEd or Ameren. It doesn't matter. Okay, and I see Connie has a question as well, and that reminds me to share that link.
Great.
But Google,
Can we get it in an email, because the dinosaurs and us who don't know how to save something from a chat to future, like is
absolutely.
Okay, cool.
What's the best way?
Well,
You want to put it in your email
Jeff,
or?
yeah, Jeff.
I have I can send. I have the ability to send an email out to everybody who registered for this event. So
Great.
And
Okay,
you're going to
yeah, that'd
share
be
that
great.
whole list of documents with us? That's so amazing.
Yeah, and I wanted to give a lot of resources, and maybe it's I don't want to drown you in resources. Maybe I'm doing that. Sorry if I am.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, especially the talking points, because we do have municipalities that are really into this Soul Smart. We pushed Soul Smart for 2 years. And so, like, for example, I live in Warrenville. You walk in with a building permit. If there's solar on your permit, you automatically go on the top of the stack.
Oh, wonderful.
Which is nice, but I don't know how long it takes to, get through the. It's pretty quick, but it's just nice if it goes on the top. But still, this still sounds like it's a good deal. So
Yeah.
basically, I understand it costs $25 for each use of the app. Is there a fee for the municipality to buy into using the app?
No, it's completely free. It was developed by NREL, which is a department of the US Department of Energy, and with Underwriters Laboratory, who's the premier safety organization in the country.
Right.
That,
Yeah, that
that
kind
reminds
of,
me. Go ahead, Vera.
I was just gonna say, so that addresses the cost question, but then James was asking how much time does it take for the municipalities to set up the system typically?
That's a great question. For a medium-sized municipality, it takes about 10 hours, or like 10 work hours of one person. Obviously, it might take people from different departments, but collectively, it should take about 10 work hours. And NREL works directly. Works directly with the municipality to set it up, so they're not fumbling around with some set of instructions or YouTube videos. They actually have someone holding their hand, walking them through every step.
Cool.
That's great.
And a related question, if they're setting it up, if the municipality already has a permitting system, you're saying that this could fit in? It's like an add-on to their system, or integrated is the word you used? I was wondering how
Absolutely.
that works. Because every town could have a different system, right?
Right. So there's requirements, there's government requirements, security requirements and such for municipal software platforms. And we have integration with, the 5 or 7 top ones already. And you know what? I think I forgot to mention some things on one of my slides that I thought was kind of cool. I just learned at a meeting yesterday. So far, there's 2,266 permits processed with SolarAPP. 78 contractors are currently using it, and 10 permit issuing municipalities have adopted it and have it actually fully running at this point. They're mostly in in the West Coast at the moment, but I think this is important. Those first adopters are critical. We get those endorsements from them.
Yes. And we have new legislation, the Clean and Equitable Jobs Act. Still says CEJA, but the acronym changed when the governor got involved. And it's amazing, Bill. I think we're in a few months, we're going to be really kickstarting solar installations again. And so that leads into the question from Jim's about whether installers themselves could possibly become advocates for the SolarAPP. Have you seen that on the West Coast? I mean, some of them, these national, I think Sunrun was on the list of people developing it, so they're active here. So have you seen any activity on the part of installers?
Oh
as
yeah,
advocates?
absolutely. We have a group within the Illinois Solar Energy Association of the contractors that are also taking action. They're with their permit applications. They might have one of these documents stapled to their permit application, and they're also advocating on behalf of the platform, which is important, and I'm asking them to also sign up on the SolarAPP NREL website, so we could demonstrate to the municipalities the support of the contractor community as well.
Yeah, I think the SoulSmart integration is pretty exciting, especially that it's so many points for adding the SolarAPP system for municipalities. So that makes me think about, in terms of possible strategies, there are a bunch of DePage area municipalities that are already SoulSmart bronze designated. So maybe those are the low-hanging fruit that, hey, well, you're bronze, but you could become silver or gold if you just add on SolarAPP. So maybe that's a good angle to pursue with them, because we know they're already interested in advancing solar and pretty committed to it.
Oh, absolutely. They've already demonstrated it.
Right.
One thing that I experienced when I had solar panels installed in our house, we had well, the contractor develops blueprints and everything. And they had an engineer's certification on them, which was actually pretty important because there was an issue that came up and the engineer caught it. And then we had to make adjustments. So I think this app, the way it works suggests to me that it's automated in a way that standardizes everything. So you shouldn't have engineering issues, that all the equipment should be compatible. So I'm excited about that. I'm just wondering if if an engineer has to be involved with any respect, or is this thing is so cookie cutter that it's just that just about anybody could do it. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it takes a lot of the questions on it, so it doesn't require a plan set, and this is a challenge as well to overcome that. The contractors aren't submitting a plan set to the municipality, but all the things on the plan set that the plan reviewer would be looking at is in a question form. So it's going through the, when plan reviewers are checking the plan set, they have a checklist in their mind of what they're looking at. And this takes all that checklist and puts it on a question form. So I see a question from Alex, and that I do not know if there is a fee for Stripe. It's a private company. I don't know that. That's a good question. I don't think there is for for government nonprofit.
Maybe I was going to say maybe for nonprofits, but the thing is, I work in the private sector, and I do a lot of.
I think we lost you, Alex.
Lost your audio, Alex. Come back.
Oh, great.
Uh-oh. Or maybe she can type more in the chat.
She said she works in the private sector, and I think maybe she uses it. She's familiar with it, I'm guessing, and maybe she pays a fee.
What is Stripe, by the way?
I haven't used it, but it's a payment system. I think it's similar to like Venmo.
Zelle.
Yeah, I think the nonprofit I work for uses it to process our online donations.
Okay.
It's like a online funds processing tool. I had kind of a, I guess, devil's advocate question about you mentioned it's all takes the form of questions and like a lot of yes, no questions. How do municipalities know, I guess, that the installer isn't cutting corners and just like giving the answers that they know are what's wanted to the questions?
Yeah, that's totally valid. In the end, they have to face the inspector too, and the inspector has the checklist, and they're going to go on site, or like a lot of municipalities are doing virtual inspections with FaceTime or whatever. But so they're going to see if the plan set calls for EMT conduit and they're using rigid or something, they're going to get caught. And I know working with Tesla, those relationships you have with the municipalities and the trust is huge. It's a huge value to the contractor. If you break the trust with them, they can make your lives really hard. So, and they could kick you off SolarAPP and make you submit all your applications the old way.
Got it.
Yes,
So there's that verification step.
I saw the inspection checklist on the website for SolarAPP. It's 30 pages long. So but that by itself seems good, because in my experience, an inspector came, he's a contractor for the city, and he kind of just visually looked at stuff, nodded his head, and checked something off on a form, and it was done. It was like a 10-minute inspection.
Yeah. No,
that's I was thinking it should have been a little bit more than that, but
I've seen them just count the panels before and then look up and see the panel, like, okay, I'm out of here. I think it was Christmas Eve and it was freezing cold last year, and the inspector didn't want to take off his gloves to get inside the inverter box or whatever.
Alex mentions there's been some issues with data privacy for this Stripe thing.
Mm. Oh, that's good to know.
Okay.
So Anson, if I could throw in a question, you mentioned Geneva at one point, and of course I live in Naperville, and the utility has to put in a second meter for this, right?
For the
For the connection to the grid.
if there's an old meter, it needs to be updated to like a revenue grade bi-directional meter
Okay,
because for the net metering, because it needs to be able to measure both directions.
okay.
But I think that's
Well, Naperville has their own electric department. They don't have ComEd. I think it's the only municipality in DuPage, but on what ComEd refers to as the river cities is, I think it's Geneva, St. Charles, and Batavia.
mhm.
And they used to generate their own electricity using the river for, water power, hydroelectric, back in the old days. And Naperville had diesels, but they all went to buy in bulk power from ComEd.
Yeah, there's a good saturation in Naperville too of residential solar.
Yeah, there is.
They have their own solar program. You get an extra discount
Mhm.
on top of the state program and the federal program.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I was what they call a smart grid ambassador. About 4 years ago, we replaced all of the meters to smart meters, and they had people with some experience in the industry talk to the citizens as they went around the city, and we'd have a meeting at an elementary school, and we'd invite citizens to come in. We explained what it was gonna do, and that was interesting. People thought it was going to fry their kids' brains because it's real-time metering, and they thought it broadcasts for 90 seconds a day. It's like a cell phone, and that's how it sends the data to the city. It's kind of it's continuous in a sense, but it's kind of pulsing, and when you add it up, it's like 90 seconds a day. I was talking to this one guy, and he said he didn't like that idea, and I said, but you got a cell phone on your hip that runs all the time, But then he said, yeah, but that's my decision, and that's the kind of thing. It's sort of like the vaccinations now, You can't tell me I have to do that. So that was a mess, but we got through it. So if you're doing a project in one of these other cities that isn't on the ComEd grid, the installer would worry about that interface too, I guess.
Yeah, that's really a contractor topic.
Okay, good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Rich.
So I want to say a quick thing. One thing, DCEC, all of you who are on this call, you're here because you care about solar energy, I assume, and you care about municipalities moving forward. This would be a really good opportunity since we've got CJIP passed now, and that was our big focus. This is a local step that we could do in presenting to our municipalities and maybe kind of working together with others. So I would encourage anyone who's on, if you want to pursue that with your local municipality, get in touch with me, Vera, Jeff, any of the leaders, and we can hook each other up with other folks in the community to form task force and figure out how to move forward with these things.
Yes, and I think for some of the municipalities like Naperville, that's sort of a unique animal. They're different, and I don't know how CEJA is actually helping them or hurt, because they have a contract to buy power from downstate, and there's some restrictions on solar, and there's just a whole set of things. But the good news is that there is an advocacy group in Naperville. So Rich, you want to connect with them. I forget the acronym, but
yeah, I'm aware of that. I've had some contacts with them.
Yeah,
I like to think that our power comes from Dresden, because that's the closest plant to us, really. The plant they're invested in is way down in it was put in to appease the coal miners in southern Illinois, and it's a disaster. And I think we're going to be in it for like 25 more years. The contract.
Yeah,
it's IMEA, Illinois Municipal Electrical Association, or something like that.
Yes,
And we're, theoretically, the power is wheeled up to us, but I like to think I'm using nuclear power because that's probably where my electrons come from. It's the closest planet.
Probably
Isn't
right.
there a song about Dream On?
But I think that contract does allow for more solar installations in Naperville. At some point, it's going to max out. You won't be allowed to do anymore, which is a pity. I think that's upsetting to a lot of people. But I think most communities that we're thinking about are on ComEd, and they've got the smart meters that are bi-directional, and I think we're ready to go. And even like towns like Glendale Heights had been installing a ton of solar,
Yeah,
even in neighborhoods that are middle class. So it's
it was a real project when we put the meters in, the smart meters, because see, the problem is the electrical department in Naperville is really separate. It's a separate profit center. It doesn't use any taxes. They collect the money they need to run. And but everybody thought, well, the city's going to be peeking into my house all the time. They think that you're going to know if I'm growing marijuana in the basement, but you don't. All the city knows is you're using electricity. It could be a hairdryer, They don't, but they don't like the city being, and ComEd didn't have that problem. I followed their installation a little bit, and it was a lot smoother than ours.
It's just an aquarium.
Just an aquarium, yeah.
Connie's comment actually reminded me of something I wanted to ask in terms of reaching out to our municipalities. Anson, who have you found are the best contacts to start with? Is it like the village manager? Is it specific people in their department if you can find out who they are? Or do you really need like mayor/village council buy-in first?
Well, yeah, good question. First I started with building departments, and I quickly found that was the wrong way. And I'm getting the most response from community development departments, and I'm copying like the mayors on it, but community development and the building and zoning commissioner. I'm writing to the community development, building commissioner, and copying the mayors. That's what I've had the best response with.
I could have helped you some years ago, Vera. My father was a ComEd vice president. And I'll tell you a little story. I used to do, back in the chemical days, I used to have a dark room and I was doing color prints and everything. And I was complaining to him one time. And I didn't actually live in Naperville. I lived west of Naperville. And I said, I have problems because my voltage isn't steady. I was, I get a color match to make a print. And then I'll run it and the voltage will dip. And when the voltage dips, the color of the enlarger light changes. And he said, well, why is that? And I said, well, I'm on the end of the meter. There's like 5 houses on the meter and I'm on the end. So if anybody pulls any load, the other 4 customers that are on it, it pulls the voltage down. And the next thing I know, I've got my own transformer on the pole.
Wow.
So my dad just makes a call and says, here's the address, fix them up.
Nice connection.
so obviously
No
connections.
pun intended.
Connections with
Yeah.
people make a difference. Yeah.
That's
I think
right.
some of us here on this call might be on environmental commissions or have been. A number of communities have been active. And so I think that's an idea. Is the environmental commission people might say, here's who you call, So we
Yeah.
could perhaps help Anson with some connections there just to see if we can just get the right people in the loop.
Yeah, I don't have any connections anymore. My father's passed away a long time ago anyway, so.
It's very Chicago. That's
Yeah.
a very Chicago story, Rich.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, James just pointed out some municipalities might have sustainability managers or coordinators, and those could be good contacts too.
Yeah, absolutely. When I find those contacts, I definitely put them on there as well.
And we sometimes find mayors who are pretty much in tune with sustainability issues more than in the past. So seen some encouraging trends in DuPage County when it comes to that sort of thing. So anyway, I think this has been a great discussion. We've been at this for almost an hour. We can just keep going for a little bit.
Is there any storage being put in DuPage County or anywhere out here?
Yeah, Naperville's a hotbed for storage. When I was working with Tesla, we were installing lots of storage systems with solar. There's a lot of people in Naperville that also own, electric vehicles as well. So
Yeah.
that was the big driver. If you could buy energy, charge your car with your solar panels, you're way ahead. Adding electric vehicle adds a lot of load, a lot of capacity addition to your home. So
Yeah. Well, the power from your battery doesn't go back into the grid though, right? I mean, that's possible, but I don't think anybody's doing that.
no, you can sell it back to the grid, but
Yeah.
it's it makes more sense to I don't think you get as much money for it as as it costs to buy it.
Yeah, well, the story is you can charge up your car or truck or whatever at night, getting your power from Dresden, of course, and then you can sell it to Naperville Electric at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when everyone's air conditioner is running, and the rates are different. You can sell it for a lot more than you paid for it. That's the whole idea. And when of course, your car has to be hooked up to the line, and that assuming it's not in the parking lot at your employer's. And it assumes all that. But, when like Hertz just ordered 100,000 Teslas, there's a lot of batteries there. If you get those hooked up on the grid, which you're not going to, but that's,
some people who have solar power actually use ComEd's hourly pricing rate. So, and you get 1-for-1 credit when you put it back on the grid. But with hourly pricing, you could buy low and sell high.
Yeah, well, that's right. And that's good. That's a good incentive.
It hasn't been working so well lately.
Really? Okay. There's a pumped storage installation up in Ludington, Michigan, and it's almost 2 gigawatts is what they can put out, and it'll give you a close to 2 gigawatts for 9 hours. If the lake is full, and that just makes all kinds of sense. So if anybody spots any 400-foot high hills around here, let me know, and we can build one here. But they're on Lake Michigan, and they've got this this pond that's up at, I think it's about 200 feet above the lake, so they've got some potential there. And again, that was tied in with their nuclear plants. You want to run nuclear plants all the time because the fuel is cheap, and you pump it up there whenever you got excess capacity, and then use it for peaking.
Wonderful. I think we can keep talking, but I think I want to stop the recording now. But I want to formally thank Anson for spending time with us and sharing this wonderful information. And we'll stay in touch with you and find ways to advocate for SolarAPP. So thanks again,
Wonderful.
Anson.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Just checking, I think there was one last question from earlier from Ken about my cat's here, but about community solar.
Yeah.
I'm guessing community solar is too large is that too large for the SolarAPP intent, or are there options for community solar projects?
At the moment, it's not, community solar is not included in SolarAPP, but commercial projects like above 10 kW, we're looking to add that. That's part of the plus. So
Nice.
And
Got it.
I actually just got approval building a community solar project in Chicago Heights, and we're trying to get it built before the end of the year, but we just got our permit today and land transfer. So I'm really excited. So we're going to start.
That's super exciting. I grew up not that far from there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I grew up in Homewood, so I'll have to find out more about that.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Anson, and thank you
you.
again. I'll stop the recording now, but we can keep talking.